to Blending Modes Part 2. We've covered blending pixels using transparency, and now we've looked at the blending mode groupings. If you recall, in our last video, we took a look at each of our groups and what they did on a basic scale. For all 6 of our groups, we noted too if the group had a neutral. And so today we're going to talk about how the different neutrals play a role. We're going to look at black, white, and 50% gray, and the spectrum, in fact. And we're also going to just quickly, I'm going to note your shortcut options. And the shortcut options, remember, for Windows is Shift plus Alt plus the letter associated with each of the modes. And if you'll notice, lighter color and darker color and subtract and divide do not have a corresponding letter. I think that's just because they're newer. They probably have one, maybe, I don't know. So just a thought there. And with that, let's get to it. Remember, we're looking at how layers use the blending modes to achieve a result color. But the modes work the same way when you apply them to the painting or editing tools and use the tool to make a change to an image on a layer. So it's the same thing when if you go to your painting and editing tools and there you go, and you want to change the mode. It works exactly the same way. It's just that you're using a tool to paint it on or put it on the image to achieve it, whereas with our layers we're actually looking at the colors in the top layer blending with the colors in the bottom layer. Now, don't forget, those same terms, base color, blend color, and result color, are all in operation here. Remember, with each blending mode, Photoshop is using algorithms and mathematical formulas to bring together or exclude the base and the blend colors to give you the result color. But instead of running through the formulas, the best way to understand each of the blending modes is to understand what happens to a photo when it blends with black, white, and 50% gray. As one of these colors is going to serve as the neutral for any given group of blending modes. So if you have a general understanding of the groupings of blending modes, and you know what the group's neutral color is, and then you see how the photo is changed by blending it with black, 50% gray, or white, then you can make an educated guess as to where to start experimenting to get the results you're going to be looking for when you're applying this to an image of your own. So let's look at each mode in each group, how they blend using the black to white spectrum with a 50% gray in the center. And this is going to be our black to white spectrum is basically going to serve as our base color. It's our active layer, the one on top. And the photo here, I'll just hide that. The photo here is going to serve as our blend color, or the underneath layer that is blending with our black to white spectrum here. Okay, as you recall, first we have our normal group of blending modes. Now, with normal and dissolve, they basically cover over, just like you see here. You do not see anything of the background photo. It completely covers it. That's because normal modes are really not true blending modes. Instead, the normal and dissolve modes are simply selecting areas to reveal and areas to conceal. And the top layer is being made more transparent to reveal the picture below. So let's mess with that opacity and take a look. With normal, you see it is kind of blending it, but it's not a true blending mode. With dissolve, it does the same thing, except you're going to get that granulated, see there, that noisy effect to it. And that's the difference between those two modes. They are both not true blending modes. They serve to cover over the entire layer underneath. Normal is the default mode, and it's also known as the threshold mode when you're working with bitmapped or index color images. The keyboard shortcut for normal is Shift Alt N. Just to touch on dissolve a little bit more, this mode affects only semi-transparent pixels. In the dissolve mode, pixels are replaced randomly with the base color or the blend color, depending on the opacity at any pixel location to produce that granulated effect. The keyboard shortcut here is Shift plus Alt plus I. And that takes us into the darken modes. With our darken modes, white is our neutral, meaning that black's not going to be changed by the mode, and white and gray, or the lighter pixels in the image, are going to be made darker. Let's start with darken. This mode compares the individual color components of the base color and the blend color and chooses whichever is darker. Pixels lighter than the blend color are replaced, and pixels darker than the blend color do not change. So what has happened to black? It is unchanged. There's no blend basically between the two. It doesn't replace those pixels. Remember, it's going to look for the lighter pixels and replace them. The darker ones are not going to get changed, in other words. So our blackest pixels are going to stay black. And white is our neutral, and there's absolutely no effect to the picture. If you take a look down this strip and I turn the eye off on our black to white spectrum, you'll see the picture does not change at all on that in this one section here. Take a look. See, the picture is not changed at all. Down here it is changed some, but up here on the white it's not changed in the slightest. And as for 50% gray, you can see, let's take a look. It darkened the photo where 50% gray came in. Because remember, darken is looking at the pixels that are darker than the blend color, and they're not changing them. Pixels lighter than the blend color are replaced. Our keyboard shortcut for that is Shift Alt K. Shift Alt K. Next, in our darken modes, we have multiply. With multiply, this mode combines luminosity and contrast levels of the top layer with the bottom layer. Multiply multiplies the base color by the blend color, and the result color is always darker than the original blend color. Multiplying any color by black gives you black, and multiplying any color with white leaves the color unchanged. And again, that's what we have here. Black made no change. You can't see through it. It did not blend, basically. White, there's no change to the photo whatsoever, as you can see there. And of course, as your pixels go down the scale getting darker, it makes the image darker. The keyboard shortcut is Shift Alt K. Shift Alt K. Next in the lineup is color burn. Color burn gives you high contrast. This mode darkens the base color to reflect the blend color by increasing the contrast between the two. White produces no change in the base color. Black, as you can see, the black pixels stay exactly black. And 50% gray definitely makes the picture darker. There is no change to the photo at white because it's our neutral. Our next in the lineup is linear burn. This is similar to color burn. It darkens the base color by decreasing the brightness to reflect the blend color instead of the contrast. As the group's neutral, white produces no change in the base color. And if you take a look, 50% gray, obviously the pixels are getting darker. Black, it just doesn't change those pixels, so it covers completely over the photo. Now, our blending mode shortcut for Linear burn, Shift Alt A. Shift Alt A. Finally, we have darker color. This mode compares the total of all channel values for the blend and base color and displays the lower value color. Darker color does not produce a third color, which can result from the darken blend because it chooses the lowest channel values from both the base and the blend color to create the result color. Darker color adds gray to an image, and where it sees lighter colors, darker color darkens them with the overriding layer. When you blend two or more colors with the darker color mode, the darker color is going to be visible. Like I said before, there's no keyboard shortcut that I'm aware of, so we're moving on to our next set of modes, which are the lighten modes. And the lighten modes, remember, are opposites. They're opposites of darken. In the lighten modes, blacks become our neutral, and that means blending with black produces no change, while blending with white and gray creates a deeper, less opaque color. Now, let's take a look at lighten. Look at black. 100% black over here changes nothing in that photo. Let's look. Notice that? Nothing. But as we go up our spectrum, it lightens those pixels by mixing and blending, and every pixel is lightened. The base color is going to remain unchanged when it is lighter than the blend color, and the base color is replaced with the blend color when it is darker. And our keyboard shortcut for that, Shift Alt G. Shift Alt G. Next in the lineup is screen, which is the opposite of multiply. Screen brightens and fades or washes out an image. The screen mode uses color data information of channels and multiplies the inverse of the blend and the base color values. The result color is always lighter than the original blend color. So when you're blending with black, the color remains unchanged, as you see here. We could toggle that off and see that nothing happens with the black blend. And when it's blending with white, it produces white. With 50% gray, clearly it lightens the image a lot, actually. Take a look at that. It definitely lightens that image. And our keyboard shortcut there, Shift Alt S. Shift Alt S. Color dodge. Color dodge brightens the image by adding a lot of contrast. It compares the base color with the blend color and reduces the contrast of the base color to reflect the blend color. Color dodge is normally used with lighter blending colors. Blending with black produces no change whatsoever, and as you can see with white, it completely comes white. And with 50% gray, actually, take a look there. It did lighten and brighten that up, didn't it? So there's your color dodge, and our keyboard shortcut for that is Shift Alt D. Shift Alt D. Next, linear dodge. Linear dodge brightens similar to color dodge, but it's a flatter brightness. It compares the base color with the blend color and then increases the brightness of the base color to reflect the blend color, whereas color dodge looks at and deals with the contrast. Blending with black produces no change for the photo. Blending with white gives you all white, basically. And blending with the 50% gray, take a look there, it really brightens that image up quite a bit. Our keyboard shortcut for linear dodge is Shift Alt W. Shift Alt W. Lighter color. Lighter color compares the total of all channel values for the blend and base color and displays the higher value color. When you blend two or more colors with the lighter color mode, the lighter color is the visible one. So, black, no change. Doesn't affect the photo. It doesn't affect our photo at all. But as your pixels get lighter and lighter, the white stays completely white, and your grays really lighten the image up all the way. And again, with this one, this is one that does not have, that I'm aware of, does not have an associated shortcut key. That takes us into our next grouping. Our next grouping is the contrast group. And remember, with our contrast modes, the neutral is going to be 50% gray here. So any color brighter than 50% gray will brighten the image and add contrast. Any color darker than 50% gray will darken the image and add contrast. So again, that's why they're called our contrast group. Let's see what happens. Start off with overlay. Overlay multiplies or screens the colors depending on the base color. If the base color is dark, it's multiplied and becomes darker. If it's light, it's screened and becomes lighter. Patterns or colors overlay the existing pixels while preserving the highlights and shadows of the base color. So the base color is not replaced, but it's mixed with the blend color to reflect the lightness or darkness of the original color. Now take a look what happened here. Remember, our neutral is 50% gray. So right here, look in the middle of the photo and see that no change has occurred. But look at what happened over here in our black spectrum. And look at what's happened in our light one. Basically, the base color down here, these base colors were lighter than black. So it's multiplied and becomes darker. And over here where it was light, it's screened and becomes lighter. So if you take a look at that. See how much lighter that is with the blend? And again, look at how dark that is, but look how much darker it is when we blend it. And our keyboard shortcut is Shift-Alt-O. Shift-Alt-O. Next we have soft light. With soft light, this mode darkens or lightens the base color depending on whether the blend color is lighter or darker than 50% gray. If the blend color is lighter than 50% gray, the image is lightened as if the dodge tool was used. And when the blend color is darker than 50% gray, the image is darkened as if the burn tool was used. So, take a look at 50% gray, the neutral, nothing's happened. But if our blend color is lighter than 50% gray, so on this side of 50% gray, then the image was lightened. And over here, it was darkened because the pixels or the blend color was darker than 50% gray. And that's what you have there. So our shortcut is Shift-Alt-F. Shift-Alt-F. Next is hard light. Hard light acts as the multiply mode or the screen mode depending on the blend color. When the blend color is lighter than the neutral, which is 50% gray, the image is lightened as if the screen mode were applied. This is useful for adding highlights to the image. If the blend mode is darker than the neutral, then the image is darkened as if the multiply mode was applied. This mode is effective for adding shadows to an image. So, take a look. Here's our neutral. Nothing's happening. No changes to our photo whatsoever. But the blend color is lighter than 50% gray. Then the image is lightened as if it was screened. And if it's darker than 50% gray, then it's darkened as if it were multiplied. And our keyboard shortcut key, Alt-Shift-H. Alt-Shift-H. Next we have vivid light. With vivid light, this has a lot of contrast. It creates an effect by adjusting the contrast of the base color. So, it dodges or burns the base color depending on whether the blend color is lighter or darker than 50% gray, the neutral. If the blend color is lighter, here's our neutral. Nothing's happening to our photo here. It's the same. If the blend color is lighter than 50% gray, all over here on our color, then the contrast of the base color decreases and it lightens the image. But if our blend color is darker than 50% gray, our neutral, the contrast of the base color increases to darken the image, which it has done over here. And our keyboard shortcut is Shift-Alt-V. Shift-Alt-V. Next we have linear light. This mode complements the vivid light mode. It works with brightness to dodge or burn the base color depending on whether the blend color is lighter or darker than 50% gray. If the blend color is lighter than 50% gray, that's on this side. Here's our 50% gray, our neutral, nothing's happening to our photo. And this is our lighter blend colors. The image is lightened by increasing the brightness of the base color. And if it's darker than 50% gray on this side, then the brightness of the base color is decreased to darken the image. And our keyboard shortcut is Shift-Alt-J. Shift-Alt-J. Next up is pen light. Pen light is similar to both the darken and lighten modes. The pen light is very useful for creating special effects in an image, because in this mode the base color is replaced depending on whether the blend color is lighter or darker than 50% gray. When the blend color is lighter than 50% gray, remember that's on this side of our spectrum, the pixels of the base color darker than the blend color, they're replaced, and the pixels lighter than the blend color remain unchanged. So you're keeping your lighter pixels and replacing your darker ones. When the blend color is darker than 50% gray, then the pixels of the base color, which are lighter than the blend color, are replaced, and the pixels darker than the blend color stay the same. Both destroy color gradation, creating a posterized effect. So remember, 50% gray, nothing happens. But when your blend color is lighter than that, the pixels of the base color that are darker than the blend color are going to be replaced, and the pixels lighter than the blend color are going to stay the same. And the opposite with our darker blend colors. Our blending modes keyboard shortcut for pen light is Shift-Alt-Z. Shift-Alt-Z. Next, and finally in our contrast modes, we have hard mix. This mode compares the brightness of the blend color with 50% gray. The brighter the blend color is, the brighter the base color will be. And the darker the blend color is, the darker the base color will be. If the brightness of the blend color is nearly equal to the brightness of 50% gray, the brightness of the base color will not change. The hard mix posterizes the underlying layers depending on the fill setting of the layer having the hard mix blending mode. If the fill setting is high, it produces extreme posterization, which is what we have here. And if it's low, let's take it down a notch. See there? The posterization effect is less. It doesn't have that extreme jump, basically. That's posterizing. Our keyboard shortcut for this is Shift-Alt-L. Shift-Alt-L. That brings us to our inversion and cancellation mode. And remember, these are our oddball guys. Depending on the underlying layer, our inversion cancellation modes are either going to invert or cancel out the colors in the layer beneath them. So let's check out the difference mode. With the difference mode, brightness values of the base color and the blend color are compared, and the color value that has the lower brightness is subtracted from the color value having greater brightness to produce the result color. Blending with black produces no change. As you can see over here, there's no change to the photo. Watch. None whatsoever. That's because black has a brightness of 0. So blending with white inverts the base color because the white has 100% color value. With 50% gray, you can see it's very, very different there. So it's how the brightness values of the base color and the blend color are compared, and the lower brightness is subtracted from the color having the greater brightness, and that's our result color. Now, our keyboard shortcut here is Shift-Alt-E. Shift-Alt-E. Next, in our inversion cancellation group, exclusion. The exclusion mode creates an effect similar to difference, but it works with contrast as opposed to brightness. Contrast values of the base color and the blend color are compared, and the color value that has the lower contrast is subtracted from the color value having the greater contrast to produce the result color. Blending with white inverts the base color value, and black produces no change. So, see, that's what happens with your white, the same thing as in difference mode, and black, same thing, no change. Our keyboard shortcut here is Shift-Alt-X. Shift-Alt-X. Now, our next two do not have a keyboard shortcut, subtract and divide. Subtract and divide are strange because basically subtract makes an image black and divide makes an image white. I mean, I don't know how else to tell you that. You'll have to play with them. Basically, subtract looks at the color information in each channel and subtracts the blend color from the base color. And divide looks at the color information in each channel and divides the blend color from the base color. And that brings us to our component modes. With component modes, the component of the selected layer blends with the layer below. In our component blending mode group, our first three, hue, saturation, and color, these are considered our color component modes. So let's take a look. Hue. Hue mode produces the result color using only the hue value of the blend color and all the luminance and saturation values of the base color. Our keyboard shortcut here is Shift-Alt-U. Shift-Alt-U. Next we have saturation. Because I have a black and white photo to blend with, all of these are basically eliminating the color. But let's go over it anyway. With saturation, this is the reverse of the hue. It creates a result color using the saturation of the blend color and the luminance and hue of the base color. Painting with gray produces no change. And what is our keyboard shortcut key? Shift-Alt-T. Shift-Alt-T. Next, we have color. With color mode, this produces the result color having the luminance of the base color and the hue and saturation of the blend color. It preserves the gray levels in the image and is useful for coloring monochrome or black and white images and for tinting color images. Our keyboard shortcut here is Shift-Alt-C. Shift-Alt-C. And last but not least, we have luminosity. Now, with luminosity, this mode is the reverse of the color mode. It produces the result color using the luminance of the blend color and the hue and the saturation of the base color. This blend mode affects the layer and pixels below it simply based on brightness levels. So it's basically changing the brightness levels on the layer below it. It's useful to choose, this mode is useful to choose when you're working with a sharpen tool. Our keyboard shortcut is Shift-Alt-Y. Shift-Alt-Y. So that's blending modes in a nutshell, guys. And basically, you've just got to experiment. But now you have some basic information to start with to help you out. Some groupings and what these things do with black, white, and 50% gray. And hopefully that'll help you get started and make some great special effects. Good luck.